Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. Aquadam.net. Give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, having to deal with the insurance company, not to mention the memories that are lost that you can never replace. To those who live in flood-prone and hurricane-prone areas, which is just around the corner, prepare now. Hurricane season is right around the corner. Visit Aquadam.net to see how they can help you prepare to avoid flood damage this season and every season thereafter. An Aquadam could be another tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. A cofferdam, using water to control water, that can protect your home, your business, your church, your neighborhood, like a dam, but without the beavers. Give Aquadam a call at 707-764-2119, 707-764-2119, or look them up online at aquadam.net. They're also on Facebook at Aquadam Inc., or call or email them today. They can help you out. Give them a call. Tell them Opperman Report sent you. Opperman Report, that's 10% off the price to anyone who mentions the Opperman Report.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay. Welcome to the Opperman Report. Let me see this here. Okay. All right, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're going to give this one more try, okay? Last week I couldn't do this because the audio was all screwed up, and I was exhausted. And then this week I was just talking for 20 minutes now, and we had a power outage And so I had to reboot everything, restart everything. So welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, the late private investigator, Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting through my website, emailrevealer.com. Or if you contact me there and I don't get back to you, then email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. I check that a lot more often. Then also, too, if you like the show and you want to support the show, we have a Patreon. We just set up a brand new Patreon. It's barely up 2.5 weeks. I think we might be hitting up on 3 weeks now. And the plan with that is, I'm a little disappointed. It's not growing as quickly as I was hoping it would. And we're taking a gamble here because I'm taking programming and content that I would normally put up on AM/FM radio, and I'm putting it into this Patreon with no advertising income coming in, on the hopes that the listeners will want that information so badly that they'll be willing to support the show and replace the income that we're losing from advertising. So there's several tiers. One is just like a $3 tier. We could just support the show, and you get access to the current content with no advertisers on it. The second tier is the old members section content, which is going up every day. The third tier is we call it Oppermaniacs, Oppermaniac Junior, Oppermaniac Pro, because we had an old producer on who used to call the listeners Oppermaniacs. Okay, so then there's 8 hours of new content goes up into the third tier, the stuff that we would normally play on Saturday nights. Now we go back to playing repeats on Saturday nights. So hopefully we'll get some support there. It's a little tricky, too, because now, I interview a guest, and they're expecting to be on the main platform, and then they're placed on this smaller platform, which hardly anybody there right now. So it's, it's difficult because the guests then are upset with me, and so I'm having to juggle that as well. So that's my life. How's your life? Our archives you can always find for free at Spreaker.com. I got some great content lately. I don't know if it's great content, but the guests have been really good. I located Carl Colby, who is the son of CIA Director Bill Colby, who created the Phoenix program, and Carl Colby was a witness in the O.J. trial. He's been accused of murdering Bob Marley. And I had him on the show. I don't think it was my best interview ever. I can tell you that for a fact. But we did manage to get him, and I survived the interview. But I don't think any of my interviews lately have been my best work. I go back and listen to my old shows, and I think a lot of the old shows I did are better than the current ones. But I've been doing a series of shows too with Richard Kerr, who is the gentleman who, as a child in Ireland, was taken from his family home. His whole home was disrupted by the government and placed into foster care and boys' homes where he was human trafficked and sex trafficked. And on one occasion, several occasions actually, sex trafficked to Roy Cohn, who was President Donald Trump's attorney. And knew Ronald Reagan very well, was involved with the Reagan White House, involved with the McCarthy hearings, was involved with Robert Kennedy. So we're taking a deep dive on that whole story. We've interviewed several others. Oh, brother. I can't get a break. I can't get a break right here. My work we're doing on this whole Kinkera Boys Home thing, and with Roy Cohn and Lord Mountbatten is involved. You might recall him. He was blown up by the IRA in 1979. I'm interviewing an author, Andrew Lowney. I'm interviewing him on his book about Mountbatten, because Mountbatten, it appears now, was also involved in the trafficking and sex trafficking of young boys as well. I interviewed a man named John McMahon, who was, again, sex trafficked as well, and his abuser was a social worker that worked at these boys' homes, but then he went to work for the courts and covered up other abusers. Also interviewed Colin Wallace, who was a former intelligence officer based out of the UK, who was framed for murder for trying to expose this and becoming a whistleblower. Just only been out of prison for a few months, and hit the ground running and put this whole team together and introduce them all to each other. And so the work on this is very new and very raw and very scattered and disorganized. But I'm putting a lot of effort into this. I got 2 more interviews coming up on this. Another guy named Tony Daly, who wrote a book about the same activity going on in the 70s over there in Ireland. And so my hope is that by drawing some attention to this, some light to this, new witnesses, new victims, new whistleblowers will come forward. And I believe that's what we're going to see, just like you saw with the Epstein case, and I was working on that early on. Speaking of Epstein, I interviewed Stephen Hoffenberg again, and there's sort of a plan for me and Mr. Hoffenberg to do a weekly podcast together just covering Epstein topics, because Ari Ben-Menashe wants to come on board and talk to us and do some interviews with the podcast and stuff. So that's an exciting possibility. But Hoffenberg came back on the show. It's about his 10th time back to give us new details about the subpoenaed flight records. You hear a lot of talk about the old flight logs that everybody thinks is the holy grail, the beginning and end of the whole Epstein case. If you weren't on those flight logs, then you're innocent, or if you are on them, then you're guilty. There's a lot more to it than that. Those flight logs, by the way, were obtained by Daniel Hanks, who's a friend of mine and a friend of the show, California private investigator who worked for the tabloids back then and was instrumental in obtaining those flight logs. But this is the first time where there's going to be a blanket set of subpoenas set out to get all the flight lists of the helicopters and the planes and everything. This is the first time, and this will be a concrete list. So there's going to be new names, and maybe names that we thought were on there, we'll find out we're not on there, because this is going to be the official list. So Hoffenberg. Now, got a big interview coming up, too, with Rocky Ratliff. And who that is, I never heard of it. Hey, who's Rocky Ratliff? I'll tell you who Rocky Ratliff is. You're going to be interested in hearing this. He's the attorney for about 170 of the victims of the OSU sex scandal with Dr. Strauss. And I was on the phone with him for a long time the other day, man, yelling in my ear about this stuff about it. He's outraged what's going on over there. There's a lot of stuff the public doesn't know about Les Wexner and his wife, Abigail, who was accused by Maria Farmer of being a kidnapper and a child kidnapper and a trafficker, and her role on the OSU board, where she's actually making decisions regarding these other allegations. So it's just a fascinating situation. So, if you notice, we're attacking these stories because Epstein and Wexner are both involved in the OSU scandal. Dr. Strauss worked out of the Les Wexner building. Les Wexner is still a trustee. His attorney's a trustee, and his wife's a trustee over there. And and Epstein also donated a ton of money down there. So all these stuff, there's a method to my madness. Trust me in what I'm doing here. All these things clue into each other, and we're shining a spotlight on all these things. I wish I had more funds and more time and more energy and some staff to help me work on these things. But we're doing what we can with the resources that we have. Okay. All right. Now, last week, I had a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to tell you, but what happened was the audio got all choppy and messed up, and I just had to abandon the show. And people were upset with me that I was tired when I did the show. So I apologize for being tired from working all day. A couple of things I wanted to talk to you about, though, last week that you probably couldn't hear. Let's see. You know what? No, that's not going to be there, is it? No. Okay, now I know what I'm going to do. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about last week that I never got around to because of the audio issues. And by the way, too, people need to understand. All right, and I hear these complaints. Well, Ed, you need to do this, you need to do that. What you need to understand is that when I go to bed at night and I wake up the next morning, all the settings on my computer are changed, okay? This is not, this is not some kind of incompetence or whatever. There's real intense hacking and interference going on with my work over here in my life that you guys just would never understand. So one of the stories is about this Dr. Amin, who's been performing an astronomical number of hysterectomies on women in detention facilities.